Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking at some really cool AI projects.
Yeah, these are projects that have a really big potential impact on society.
You asked to see a few really standout projects and, ones that could have a lasting impact.
Exactly. And we've got some really exciting examples. We're talking about everything from Google's latest AI to some amazing independent developers who are pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
All right, so let's just jump right into it.
Sounds good.
We're going to start with Google's Gemini 2.0 Flash.
Yeah.
And this one's really interesting because it's what they call multimodal AI, which I guess means that it takes in all sorts of different information, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it can process text, images, audio, all at the same time, which is, pretty incredible when you think about it.
And it's already proving itself too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's been blowing away the competition in the chatbot arena,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
which is, basically the Olympics of AI. And it's not just winning, it's winning by a landslide. Way faster and more accurate than anything we've seen before.
So what does all this mean for the average person? I mean, why should we care?
Well, imagine being able to ask a question and get an instant, in-depth answer that's not just pulling from one source, but, from multiple sources. It's like having a super-powered research assistant that can synthesize information and present it in a way that's easy to understand.
So it's not just going to give you a list of links.
Exactly. It's actually going to break down the information for you.
That's incredible.
So, think about the impact this could have on research, on education, just, everyday people trying to understand complex topics.
Wow. Okay. And, it's not just about making information easier to find. It's also about making information more accessible to people who, you know, might not have had access before,
Absolutely.
and particularly people with disabilities.
Yeah. So imagine real-time interaction with audio, video, and text. Opening up a whole new world of communication and engagement for people who might have limited access to traditional methods.
So really creating a more inclusive digital world.
Exactly.
It's really amazing. Okay, and that's not even all it can do.
Right.
Gemini 2.0 Flash can also code.
Right. It's coding ways, yeah.
Oh, man.
So think about all those hours you might have spent debugging code.
Oh, tell me about it.
Gemini 2.0 Flash is already being integrated into developer tools like Notebook LM, and it's helping people write code faster and more efficiently. So, this could lead to a whole wave of new, more user-friendly software applications.
I mean, and that would benefit everyone, so that's really exciting.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on from Gemini 2.0 Flash now
Right.
to something that sounds, honestly, kind of like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Project Mariner.
So imagine a super intelligent browser agent that basically lives on your computer. And it can see and understand everything on your screen.
So it can see the text and the images and everything.
Everything, even the layout, the code underneath it all. It's
Yeah.
like it's actually seeing the web the way that we do.
It's really, really incredible.
And here's the really cool part. It can reason about that information. So it can actually figure out what you're trying to do online and then complete tasks for you.
So it's not just reading, it's like thinking.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's getting really good at it. It's scoring incredibly high on what's called the Web Voyager benchmark,
Oh.
which is basically a test of how well an AI can understand and navigate the web. So Project Mariner is basically becoming a master of the internet, and that means it can do things like book flights for you, fill out forms, extract information from websites, all without you having to lift a finger.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, this is starting to sound like the internet of my dreams, No more wrestling with those annoying website interfaces or spending hours trying to find that one little piece of information I need.
It's like having, a personal assistant who lives in your browser.
Exactly. Wow. Okay, so I'm blown away by all this.
Me too.
But we've got one more Google project to talk about, right?
Yeah, let's talk about Jules.
Right.
So Jules is a little different. It lives on GitHub, which is, where developers store and share their code.
Right.
And just like Gemini, Jules is a coding whiz. But instead of writing code, it specializes in reviewing and fixing existing code.
So it's like a super spell checker for code.
Well, it's way more advanced than that. Jules can analyze code across multiple files. It understands the relationships between different parts of the code and can even suggest changes that make the software better overall.
I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, the amount of time and effort this could save developers. Not to mention all those frustrating bugs that can pop up in software.
Absolutely.
So Jules is really about, making software development more efficient, more reliable.
Right. And ultimately more beneficial for everyone.
Absolutely. So, okay, we've talked about, these really amazing Google projects, but, the innovation in this field isn't just coming from big tech companies.
Oh, absolutely not.
Um, and there's this one project in particular from independent developers that I think is really worth highlighting.
Yeah, definitely.
Windsurf.
Have you heard of that one?
I have heard of Windsurf, yeah.
So Windsurf is an AI-powered code generation tool,
Oh, wow.
which means, it can actually write code for you.
Wow. Okay.
But what makes it so special is its focus on transparency and user feedback. So the developers behind it are constantly working to improve it based on what their users need and want.
So it's like it's constantly evolving.
Exactly. It's a really powerful tool, but it's also incredibly user-friendly.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to see that, this kind of innovation isn't just coming from these big companies, that there's a whole ecosystem of, talented people out there.
Absolutely.
Okay. So now for a project that might be a little bit, I don't know, we might have to get a little bit technical here,
Sure.
but it's really fascinating. Are you ready for QRWKV632B?
I am, yeah. Are you?
Okay, so yeah, explain this to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so think of it this way. QRWK-V632B is a new type of AI model that can achieve performance similar to those giant resource-intensive models we've been talking about, but it does it using way less computational power. It's like finding a shortcut that gets you to the same destination, but, using a fraction of the fuel.
Oh,
So it's more efficient, it's more sustainable.
so it's like getting all the AI power, but without the huge energy bill.
Exactly. And that's a really big deal because it means we could be on the verge of making AI more accessible and more environmentally friendly.
I mean, that would benefit everyone, researchers, everyday users.
Everyone.
Wow, okay. So I think, this is all really exciting, to think about all the potential here.
Definitely.
But I think, it also raises some, pretty big questions,
This
right?
does.
With all this incredible potential, there are also some things that we need to be really careful about, as these AI projects keep developing.
Yeah, we gotta be mindful, absolutely.
Okay, so I think that's a good place to pause for a minute.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we can start, talking about some of those big questions, some of those potential challenges, and really dive into that side of things.
Sounds good. So, we were just talking about some of the amazing things that AI can do.
Right. It really is incredible to see, how far it's come and all the possibilities for the future. But
It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement.
yeah, it's easy to just focus on the positive, but
But we also need to be realistic about the potential downsides.
yeah.
Like any powerful technology, AI has the potential to be misused, so we have to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like with great power comes great responsibility, right?
Exactly.
So let's talk about some of those potential downsides. What are some of the things that, we should be thinking about?
Well, one of the big ones is control. Who gets to decide how these AI tools are developed and used? Is it just going to be the big tech companies? Or do we need, a more democratic approach where everyone has a say?
Right. That's a really good point. We've already seen some amazing tools being developed by independent developers like, Windsurf.
Right.
It would be a shame if all that innovation was stifled, because only a few powerful companies had all the control.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of bias. AI systems are trained on massive data sets. And if those data sets reflect the biases that already exist in our society, then the AI is going to perpetuate those biases.
So it's like garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that can have really serious consequences, especially if AI is being used in areas like hiring or lending or even criminal justice.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, it definitely raises some ethical concerns. So we need to be very careful about how we train these systems and what data we use.
And what about privacy? AI systems are collecting and analyzing so much data about our behavior. How do we protect our personal information?
That's another huge issue. We need to have strong privacy regulations and ethical guidelines in place.
Yeah.
And transparency is key here, right?
Yeah.
People need to understand what data is being collected, how it's being used, and they need to have control over their own information.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. It's like we're trying to walk this tightrope between, unlocking the incredible potential of AI and also protecting our individual rights.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance. And then, there's the economic impact to consider,
Yeah,
too.
right.
As AI gets more sophisticated, it's going to automate a lot of jobs that are currently done by humans.
Right.
And that could lead to increased unemployment and economic inequality if we're not careful.
Yeah. That's something we definitely need to be prepared for. It's not just about, making sure that the technology is used ethically, but also about figuring out how to adapt to this rapidly changing world.
Exactly. It's a lot to think about,
Yeah.
but, these are important conversations to have. The choices we make now are going to shape the future of AI and its impact on society.
Okay. I have to admit, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed now.
It can be a lot to take in.
Yeah. Are there any reasons to be optimistic here? I mean, are people working on these challenges?
Oh, absolutely. There's a growing movement of researchers, developers, policymakers, ethicists, all working together to make sure that AI is developed and used responsibly. There are initiatives focused on creating ethical guidelines, developing techniques to mitigate bias, exploring ways to make sure that AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah, it's a collective effort, and it's really encouraging to see so many people working towards this common goal.
So it's not just like a bunch of tech companies doing whatever they want.
No, it's much bigger than that. And we all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI.
Okay, so we've talked about some of the potential downsides and challenges of AI, but let's not forget about all the incredible potential for good that we talked about earlier.
Definitely not.
I mean, these AI projects could revolutionize research, make the internet more accessible, help us develop safer and more reliable software. There's so much potential here.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that AI is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Right. Okay, yeah.
The key is to use it wisely, thoughtfully, with a focus on benefiting humanity as a whole.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's go back to one of the AI projects that we talked about earlier, Product Mariner.
Okay. Yeah.
We talked about how it could make the internet more intuitive and efficient, but I'm curious, how could this technology be used to address some of the social challenges that we were just discussing?
That's a really interesting question. One area where it could have a huge impact is accessibility. Imagine how a browser agent that can understand and interact with the web on a visual level could help people with disabilities who might have difficulty using traditional interfaces.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It could make the internet so much more inclusive.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like having a personalized guide that can help you navigate the web based on your specific needs.
Exactly.
And what about education? I mean, could Project Mariner be used to, improve learning for students?
Absolutely. Imagine a world where students have access to an AI tutor that can personalize their learning experience, adapt to their pace, give them real-time feedback and support. It could be revolutionary.
Wow, okay. I'm officially blown away again. I mean, we're talking about a technology that could revolutionize everything, from how we work to how we learn to how we access information.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. But, it comes back to what we were saying before. We have to make sure that we're using it responsibly.
Right. With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. It's up to us to make sure that AI is used for good to benefit all of humanity.
Well said. I think that's a good place to take another pause.
Yeah, let's take a break.
And when we come back, we'll have some final thoughts, about the future of AI and leave you with some things to think about.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we're back. And I have to say, my head is still spinning a little bit from all these amazing AI projects.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but it's also exciting, right?
It really is.
Yeah.
But, one thing I've been thinking about is all this amazingness, all this power, it's got to come at a cost, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, we can't just ignore the practical considerations.
Exactly. What about the environmental impact of all this computing power?
That's a great point, and it's something that a lot of people don't really think about.
Yeah, I mean, these AI models, they're massive, right?
Yeah.
And training them, running them, it takes a ton of energy.
It does. And as these models get more complex, as they get more powerful, the energy consumption just keeps growing.
So it's like a trade-off. The
Mhm.
more we want from AI,
Yeah.
the bigger its environmental footprint.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the trend so far, but thankfully there are people working on ways to make AI more sustainable.
Oh, okay, that's good to hear. So what are they doing?
Well, one approach is to develop more efficient hardware. chips that can handle all the demands of AI, but without using as much energy.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like what we've seen with our laptops and phones, right? They've gotten a lot more energy efficient over the years.
Exactly. And then on the software side, researchers are, exploring new algorithms, new ways of doing things that can achieve similar, maybe even better results with less computational power.
Right, yeah, like that QRWK V632B project that we talked about earlier.
Exactly. That's a perfect example. It's, finding a way to get the same results, but with a much smaller energy bill.
Okay, yeah, that's really encouraging. It sounds like we don't have to choose between, powerful AI and a healthy planet.
Hopefully not. It's not an either situation. We can have both.
Okay, so I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about some really amazing AI projects, the incredible potential, but also some of the challenges that we need to be aware of.
We have. And it's important to have these conversations, to really think critically about the impact of AI on society.
I totally agree. So as we wrap up here, I just want to encourage everyone listening to keep exploring, keep learning about AI,
Yeah, stay curious.
because who knows what incredible breakthroughs are just around the corner. And thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, it's been fun.